forever, and I'm not great at keeping a normal podcast schedule, but that's my life. So you get what you get right now. For those of you that are new, my name is Jessica. You can also call me Jessie or Biskit, hence the name of the podcast. I'm so glad that some of you have come to join me again and for the first time. I made it a point to make sure that I recorded a video before the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival so that when I go to the 2 o'clock podcaster meetup, I can still claim that I am one. I don't think anybody would care, and Chevis would protect me, but that's besides the point. Let's get into it, because in order for me to get this up before I leave tomorrow, it can't be 2 hours long. So I've cut out a lot of material that I was going to talk about. Maybe I'll do another longer one in the future, but not right now. God, it is hot as balls in here. First up with the knitting, I made it a point to only knit on my first FO that I'm going to show you, because I just wanted it done and I wanted to be able to wear it a few times this year before it got too warm. But I'm not wearing it right now because I don't feel like sweating. And you know, I got this awesome haircut not too long ago, and Chevis and I are hair twins now, so I gotta make sure this stays looking good until I start putting shit on my head anyway, right? Anyway, it's the Woolen Honey sweater. I finished it. And I added, gosh, I need to it's already pilled up a little bit and I need to fix that. But I added some honeycomb on the sleeves. For those of you that don't know, this is an Andrea Mowry sweater design, and I think she's also going to be at Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. Gosh, I hope I get to meet her. That'd be so cool. Anyway, yes, the Woolen Honey sweater, it was a make-along for, or with Craft Me Not Yarn Co. She hosted it. I think it's still going on until the end of this month. It started in January. I don't know the details. She'll forgive me. But I did this in her, oh fuck, I can't say the name of this colorway one more time. I just can't. Bergamot. It's Bergamot. But non-superwash, because you want to use non-superwash because the honeycomb will kind of matte down a little bit over time on the sweater. I absolutely loved, excuse me, I gotta stop drinking seltzer water while I'm doing this. So, moving on. I was saying something, I can't remember what. Oh, I loved knitting this. I loved knitting it. I did find that it was a lot easier to knit with the honeycombs, actually placing them on hold off the needles and just putting stitch markers where they were supposed to go after you got through a few rows. That really sped things up, but I don't mind purling, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal to do a garter stitch sweater. And I definitely want to make another one at the beginning of next year too. I think I need more than one of these in my closet. 10 out of 10 people, knitters, would probably highly recommend this sweater. And I just adore it. And I'll probably even get to wear it at the festival this weekend, because even though it's May, it's gonna be rainy and kind of chilly. I look like I should be walking down from some Italian mountain villa or something. This is gonna be good. Next up for finished objects. Oh shit, I forgot one. Okay, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I lied. It's not a finished object, but at least I'll have it next for whips. I had started these socks. No, they're not on blockers. Yes, I've washed them. I'm not that fancy. I don't care if y'all see my worn knitted socks. I finally finished these, This is the Galaxy yarn from Lola Bean Yarn Co. And Liz from the Black Knitter podcast, who I'll talk about in a minute, and I are twins. We both have this yarn. I think she's making a shawl with hers. But see, there are two. I got two of them now instead of just one hanging out in a bag in my car. I think the bright purple was part of like a Hugh Loco chicken and hens set. Sure, we'll say that works. Next, I did my first pair of DK socks, DK weight socks, out of 3 different colorways from my friend Sarah at Coast to Coast Yarn Co. again. I'm losing light and I don't know how to set up lights for the podcast, so this is what you get. But yeah, these are 3 different colors of hers that I got. And I love these DK weight socks. They're amazing. I don't know why it took me so long to try that. I don't know. So that's my FOs. For whips, my knitted FOs. Those are my knitted FOs. You'll see what I mean by that later. I'm almost done with this freaking hat, y'all. I'm making it for my friend Shaq. It's the Azul hat by Woolen Wormhead, one of their designs. I know one of these is Barnyard Knits. I don't know what the other one is, so you'll have to look it up on my Ravelry page. But this hat is so cool. You use German short rows to create this pattern, and then you Kitchener it together. The Azul hat is done. Whew, another sweater going on the head. All right. Next whip is my weekender. I'm making sort of like a scrappy, stripy weekender. There are some purple stripes in there, but you really can't see it that well. Most of this is Coast to Coast yarn. I split for the top of the sweater. It's bottom up. So I just use one of those like cords to try it on every once in a while to make sure that I liked it. But yeah, it's gorgeous. This is coming along well. I made it a little bit longer than it suggested because that's just, I'm not as huge on the cropped clothes. Not yet, maybe one day. Maybe one day. Next, I'm making another Musselburgh hat with Freckled Whimsy self-striping yarn. I didn't just discover them, like I knew of them, but I had never purchased their yarn before. But my favorite yarn shop, the Skein Yarn Shop in Rhode Island. Hi Justine, hi Lori. They are stocking Freckled Whimsy now. So I just wanted to copy Kristen from We Share Needles and do a striped Musselburgh. Yep, that's how I'm saying it. Musselburgh hat. And I love it. And I don't have that much more to go. I think I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 2 more inches. And then I'll start my decreases. That's it for my FOs and my whips. What should I do next? What do my notes say? What do my notes say? What are we doing next? Okay, so next we're gonna do my dream knitting. I haven't done a segment like this before, and I'm gonna try to take the volume down with all the crinkling because I live in an old building. There is no getting moss completely out, so I have to store all of my stuff in plastic bags. So hold please. Here's what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? I am taking, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, so I'm gonna take the full skeins that I got from my Winter Craft Me Not Yarn Co. box here, plus 3 different colors that I got from her Moth collection. Oh, I'm missing one. 4. There's another one. I just don't know where it is. And I want to do the Douglas cardigan. I love it. I was really wanting something like that. Oh, my yarn babies. I was wanting something like that right around the time Andrea Mallory, just gonna hold my yarn babies, right around the time that she came out with her DK weight sweater, the Douglas cardigan. And I had all this DK weight yarn from Craft Me Not Yarn Co. And I really wanted to use them together and make like a funky straight sweater, something a little outside of my comfort zone, but not too much. And so here are the yarn babies that are going in there. That's right. My yarn babies. I accidentally took a nap right before I started filming this, so I'm in such a weird mood. That's it for dream knitting. I was flying through this shit today too. So I don't know that I've podcasted since I got my spinning wheel for my birthday months ago. But, I mean, all of these skeins look so ugly. I don't care. I freaking love it. I love spinning. I love experimenting with thickness and the tension and the twist and all of that. Like, I don't even follow any rules right now. I just do it. So I decided that I wanted to make like a really cool circular like schlanket out of my hand spun to like lay across the back of my couch or something. So this is one of the first really ugly skeins that I did. Gosh, this lighting is terrible. Y'all don't care. You're just here for the jokes. I know what's going on. But yeah, this one's like so overspun in some spots. It's not even funny. This one's better, although I skeined it up in a really ugly way. A skein only a mother could love, right? But it's got these really pretty pinks and purples. I've got this green and blue one. Alpaca. I hate spinning alpaca, by the way. BT dubs. Maybe I'll like it better as I go along and get better. And then there's just, I ordered a whole pound of BFL from somebody on Etsy. If I can remember, I'll post it, like a link to their store. But BFL, I loved spinning that. And I love spinning like the natural colors. Like I have tons of like art bats and whatnot and dyed fiber. And I love it, but I really love the natural stuff, especially when it's like multicolored and just seeing even the tiniest little stripes in the yarn. I'm obsessed with spinning. I should probably start knitting with my hand spun though. Very spoon. I need to calm down. Can't even talk today. The last hand spun that I wanted to show you, which you're not going to understand how glorious it really is until A, you're one of the lucky ones that gets to see the finished object that I make out of it in person, or B, when I show it to you on here sometime. But it was called Asbestos. This is from Fossil Fibers. You know, a good podcaster would get up and fix the light right now so that you guys wouldn't have to look at me suffering trying to show this to you. But there's like blue, and there's these cool little crinkly fibers. I don't know what those are called, but I love art bats. Some people are like, I don't know what to do with them. I'm like, just spin it. Don't think about it. I mean, like, I don't know if that's the right procedure, but, you know, do what you want. Do what I want. So, yeah, art bats kind of rock my world, too. I got a gorgeous one that came in from Fossil Fibers recently, but I'm kind of stuck where I am until I'm done podcasting, so next time. All right, that's it for spinning. Well, I showed you a fraction of what I've got in this bag that I bought from Chilele. It's a street clothing words. It's a street clothing store and designer here. They have like a lot of designers in their store. So yeah, a beautiful mess. And there's like this really cool piece written on the back by the designer about like how I may look like a mess now, but it's a beautiful mess, and talking about their art studio. And I can relate to that because my art room / office is insane. Oh, spam risk. Wouldn't that be funny if I answered that right now? I yelled at somebody the other day. They were calling about, it was the car warranty one. And I was irritated at the time anyway. And so instead of just asking them to take me off their list, which they lie and don't do, I told the person to get a real fucking job. I'm such an asshole. What if that's the only job they can find? Who am I to be mean, right? Whatever. They'll be fine. I'm an asshole. Next thing that I wanted to show you, I've gotten an okay amount of yarn over the last few months, but I don't feel like just doing a total yarn porn parade for y'all today. But I did want to show off a new yarn dyer who has also become a new lifelong friend, Kiki. Hi, darling. I was able to snag a skein of yarn. Not only did she send me this gorgeous orange skein of yarn, which I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I kept thinking like cowl, hat, fingerless mitts, DK weight socks. I don't know, but I love this orange. It rocks my world. It really does. Which one? This is called Dreamsicle. She also sent me extra yarn, y'all, and I like about cried. I might have shed a tear because her card was so sweet, and she's just such a wonderful person. And she sent along a recipe with the yarn, a Mardi Gras pasta, I think is what it's called. And I love New Orleans, so girl after my own heart. She sent Enchanted Forest. Ooh. I do think this one needs to be a hat for a friend of mine. I showed her this yarn and she was drooling. So I think she's getting a hat. So stay tuned. I don't know what I'm going to make out of this one, but I'll figure it out. I want it to be something I'll wear often, just so I can think of my friend when I wear them. Wow, I flew through knitting stuff in 22 minutes. Who am I? Well, that's because I probably don't have everything near me. So let me run through some of the other stuff I just want to chit chat about and show off, books and that kind of thing. And then we'll get into the Sheep and Wool Festival and like life chatter. All right. I have been really getting back into my old ways of reading like crazy. And I am in the middle of, or have just finished, some incredible books. And I could go on for hours about this first one, but I'm just going to show it to you and hope that you trust me that this will be one of the most important books that you ever read in your lifetime, should you choose to believe me. And that is Asada Shakur's Autobiography. Holy shit. Holy shit. This is so important to read. So important. If you've already read The New Jim Crow, read that for sure. But if you want to read a story that sheds even more light and puts even more of a human face into the facts that you get out of The New Jim Crow. I mean, obviously The New Jim Crow is about people. It talks about specific cases where there are clear indications of racial and social injustice, but this gives you a more personal story. That's what I should have said. This just gives you a more personal story that sheds even more light on the topic and gives you a different perspective of the injustice going on in the world. And what she gives us in this autobiography is so incredible. And I'm just so glad that she decided to tell us her story. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I could go on forever, but really you should read this. The foreword is by Angela Davis and Lennox Hines. So, you know, it's just a powerful piece right off the bat. I still haven't gotten over it. I'm not sure I ever will, and I don't want to because it's that good. And I'll definitely read it again because there's so much and it's so powerful that I feel like I feel like a sponge where I just need to soak up. I need to soak it up a little bit more. Okay, I'm okay. I'll be fine. Next, I'm almost done with 10 Steps to Nanette, a memoir situation by Hannah Gadsby. I love Hannah Gadsby. She's an incredible human being. She is so funny and she is an absolute genius. Her comedy specials on Netflix are like nothing you've ever seen before. She broke the rules in comedy when she did her shows. And this book is just a testament to the struggles and the power that is within this human being. And yeah, she's just a genius. I don't want to give away why, but this book, there's nothing like it out there. And you should read this too. Trigger warning, there are conversations about bullying, abuse, and rape in here. So I just want to make sure if that's something that triggers you and it's not something that you can read, it's in here. Not a ton, but it is here. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that, because I could go on for hours and I haven't even finished it. Next, I started getting back into the fantasy genre. It's always been one of my favorites when it comes to movies or books or TV shows. And I wasn't really happy with some of these young adult, like, romance series that people were reading. I just felt like they left a lot to be desired. And then I realized that, you know, they just are what they are, right? And if I want, like, great fantasy literature, then I've got to dig a little bit deeper. So I started out with The Final Empire as I was diving back in by Brandon Sanderson. This is the Mistborn series. This is the first book in the Mistborn series, and I loved it. It is an easy read, even though, like, if a book doesn't have more than 500 pages, I'm like, what's the point? I still read them. I'm not that much of a snob. So when I saw that this one was almost 700 pages per book, I got really excited. So I plowed through this one and finished it. It's not a difficult read, and it's just a really interesting story. And the world is really creative. The way that the characters perform magic is something I had never heard of before. So I loved it. So now I'm in book 2, which is The Well of Ascension. I've got a couple of books stacked right in front of me where I need to figure out what my next one is. But I can tell you, I'm going to get all up close and real, that my next one as far as social and racial justice goes is Soul Dad Brother. These are the prison letters of George Jackson. So that's gonna be next. I'll probably start that on, like, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday, something like that. Oh, and if you didn't notice, this is my Tank and the Bangas Dope Girl Magic t-shirt. I don't know if I've worn it on here before or not, but that song is awesome. So you should check out Tank and the Bangas. Yes. Let me see. What are we going to talk about next, folks? I mentioned the Black Knitter before. Her podcast is incredible. Love it. I get to meet her in person tomorrow, and I can't freaking wait. And I know that I'm not going to have all the time in the world to talk to her about things I want to talk to her about, But at some point, I hope she and I get to have some really great conversations in the future about some of the stuff that she brings up in her podcasts. One of the things that she discussed in, I think it was 3 videos ago, the beloved community. So I'm gonna link, oh my gosh, I can't stop burping from this seltzer. I'm gonna commit to you that I'm gonna find the video where she starts talking about it so that you can go back and listen to her words on it, because I know I couldn't do better. And plus it'll just entice you to go check her out if you haven't yet. But one of the things that I did want to say was a point that she made in one of her videos, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I'm just gonna like drop the mic on you here and kind of move on, because I want to say it and for you all to think about it too. And that is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Here's what it means to me. Having the conversations that normally in society we would shun away from, like talking about terms or actions or thoughts or whatever that we do that can be harmful to others, especially things that are racist or biased or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say, hopefully. So like you say something and somebody else is like, hey, by the way, that actually makes me uncomfortable because that's really racist, or makes certain groups of people very uncomfortable because they've been judged for X, Y, and Z. So it's having those conversations and expanding yourself and learning that even as hard as all of us try, we still have some sort of racist bias that we have to work through. It's having the conversations, reading the books, watching shows and documentaries and movies, and spending the time challenging yourself, thinking about interactions that you've had or things that you've watched or read or witnessed, and say, how can I do better? How can I be better? We're about to have a guest star here in a second. Miss Ophelia, supervisor, making sure I don't go on too long. So just some things to think about, you know, getting uncomfortable and what does that mean? And I think to me that means that when you start making that part of your life, analyzing and reading and listening and talking about all of these topics that are very challenging and really start to help us redefine who we are as a person and how we behave as a member of our community and that kind of thing. If you continue to put yourselves in those situations where you're like, oh my gosh, this makes me uncomfortable because I didn't realize that what I was doing or saying or whatever was hurting somebody else. Once you start reading those books and doing all of that stuff, it's easier for you to get into that mindset to continue to grow. That was a lot of rambling. I don't even know if any of that made sense, but I hope it did. And maybe next time I'll be a little bit more articulate when I go into something like that. So go check out The Black Knitter, and yeah, I can't wait to see her in Maryland. As far as music goes, I wanted to bring a singer out of the vault that I hadn't listened to her in a while, and one of her songs popped up for whatever reason, and I just forgot how amazing she was, and that's Valerie June. I'm gonna link one of her songs below. I encourage you to listen to her and really listen to her voice and the lyrics and the music. It's beautiful. It is art. She is incredible. Couple of movies that I've watched. I watched Cadillac Records. It was good. I really liked it. Beyonce did an incredible job. Like, of course she did, but for real. Wow. Beyonce as Etta James. Holy shitballs. I've said balls a couple of times, haven't I? Beyonce did an amazing job. Everybody in the cast did, but she was amazing. Oh, and then I watched Ali Wong's latest comedy special on Netflix. And like the first few minutes, my jaw was probably on the ground. And then like 5 minutes later, I was in my living room standing up and clapping. That's how much I loved it. she's amazing. And I love that she is willing to say and do the things that she does on stage, because we need more female comedians that are comfortable just letting it all hang out, right? That's it for all of my recommendations. I'm gonna go really quickly through life stuff because I do want to edit this and get it up tonight, just so that it's there before Sheep and Wool. And I've been itching to podcast, but I don't have it in me to do this for as long as I'd originally planned. I'm sure you'll all forgive me, or if you don't, that's okay too. You'll be fine. So life. I'm still recovering from a herniated disc, which is one of the reasons I couldn't record for a while, because sitting for long periods of time can get pretty uncomfortable. I'm doing my best to take care of myself, and I am getting better, so that's been fun. Gosh, I don't even know what else has been going on. I'm still with my same company, but I got a new role that fits me a lot better, and I'm no longer an accountant. I'm glad I had that degree and the experience that I did, but I'm also glad to be moving on. Just doesn't fit my personality. I need to be creative, even if it is at a corporate job, you know? What else has happened, folks? Oh my gosh, I've got a great story, and then that'll be it. I went to visit my dad and my stepmom, I guess in March, and because they live near Charleston now, and so I try to go down there a couple times a year just to hang out and see them. We were getting ready to prep for dinner, and all I needed to do was like reheat some stuff. So I turned the oven on and realized, you know, I'd really like to take a shower. I was at the beach today, whatever. And so I look at my stepmom and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I just leave the oven on? I'll only be in the shower. I'll only be upstairs a few minutes taking a shower, and I'll be right back down. I can turn it off if you want. She's like, no, it's fine. Leave it on. So I go upstairs, take a shower, and I get out of the shower and I'm like drying off, and I get my clothes on at least, and I hear the smoke alarm going off, and I'm like, oh shit, I hope Edna didn't burn her dinner, you know, because she was cooking something different and it was in the oven when I went upstairs. And then I started to smell smoke, and I started to get a little concerned because it's not a small house. So the fact that the smoke was wafting, does it matter? Tomato, up the stairs. The fact that I could smell the smoke was a little concerning. And I turn around because the room I'm staying in faces the front of the house, and I see a fire truck lights. And it's dark outside, so, you know, it's like lighting up the entire inside of the house. So I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, what is going on? And why has nobody come to get me yet? Because I'd only been there like one night. So I'm thinking, like, surely my parents didn't forget that I was here and that, like, the house is on fire and they just left me in the house by myself. This can't be what's happening right now. So I walk out of the room and I'm like, hello, what's going on? Nobody answers me because my dad's outside. The mayor is outside hanging out with, you know, the firemen in the fire truck. And I finally get downstairs, and it turns out that the unit in the oven that I was using blew out, even though we had just used it earlier that day, and had almost caught on fire and started smoking. And the alarm goes off, but neither of my parents can find their phones to like stop the alarm going off and letting the security alarm people who were going to call know that everything's fine. So because they didn't pick up their phones, the fire truck comes. So the fire truck goes, and we're like airing out the house, and for some reason these parents of mine, do not have screens on any of their windows or any of their doors. I don't understand it. But they don't. And so I'm standing at the back door, and Edna's like fanning it out, and there's this little baby raccoon on the stairs. I go out there to try to say hi to the raccoon because they fed some of the raccoons before, but then they started messing up the porch, so they stopped taking care of the raccoons. So they start yelling at me because I'm like talking to this raccoon that probably would charge into the house, like if they had the chance. And I stopped making friends with the raccoon, and I'm like, well, why don't we at least like open up some doors and windows on the second floor because then we don't have to worry about raccoons getting in. And they're like, no, we can't do that because then a flying squirrel will get in the house. And apparently they've had not one, but 2 flying squirrels get in the house, and they've never been able, well, no, I think my dad did find them and like took them halfway around the island to release them, and somehow they keep getting back in the house. So like, it was just a total shit show the entire time. It was I was laughing my ass off. I don't think my parents were terribly amused by the situation, but I had a great time. So it's always an adventure whenever I go somewhere. I mean, it's not my fault that it caught on fire. And I will say that Edna tried using that same oven a few days later, and it definitely caught on fire, like all the way. Everybody's fine. Nothing happened, except they need a new oven. So that's my funny story. That's pretty much it. I'm leaving tomorrow for Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I've got some friends that I'm hanging out with tomorrow night. I can't wait to see Chevis and Aquila and Johnny Bo and Liz, and there's so many other people that I'm going to get to see tomorrow night before the festival. And then I'll be at the festival on Saturday, probably going to try to get there around 10:30 and stay until, and then head back home just because Mother's Day on Sunday, right? So yeah, if you're going to be there and you recognize me, say hi. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Have a great Mother's Day. And cross your fingers that it won't take me another like 4 or 5 months to get another video to you, because I've missed y'all. And see you later. Bye.